I want to talk about Jenna Ortega, and then we're going to wrap it up. Because what we're really seeing is a year after year now of a successful leading woman who is very unconventional and takes her craft very seriously. Here she is with director Trey Schultz, and we're promoting Hurry Up Tomorrow, which comes out in May. It's like a fantasy horror thriller. And this guy has made one of my favorite horror films lately. They Come at Night. Jenna is really a throwback. And I say throwback in regards to an actor who is also a student of cinema, a lover of art, literature. She devours music. She's learning instruments. And also, too, a woman from Mexican, Puerto Rican background that is doing it completely different. And we talked about really fast before we get into this article. We talked about you got to let some of these actors and directors fail as they keep moving up. Because technically, Death of a Unicorn, Miller's Girl, and Finest Kind, box office wise, 3 independent films she's been in the last year, have all failed. They've garnered the respect of her in the industry, and a small following with her fan base, but they're not hits like Beetlejuice was or the Scream movies. And that Death of a Unicorn looks to be the same. But again, I go back to this whole idea is that if you're an endearing star up and coming like Jenna is, people are going to be very forgiving of, these smaller movies just not hitting the mark, just not being hits. But hey, Jenna was doing some interesting work there. Hey, she was going for a character. She had a southern accent in Miller's Girl. That was really interesting, etc., etc. So this what we're seeing in the last 4 or 5 years is really the blueprint of the making of a star. She's not an overnight success. She wasn't plucked out of obscurity, out of high school, and boom. She's been grinding at this since she was a kid. And now coming into her adulthood, you're seeing this blueprint of a very well-versed artist. So there's a nice article that just came out in regards to Jenna and her career. It's on The Cut. You can pick it up. You could, you just do your search for her. She's promoting her film Death of a Unicorn. There's a couple things that I wanted to bring up, right? As far as what people have from Paul Rudd to Tim Burton is that she is a sage, right? Old soul, uh, uh, an artist beyond her. It's like what she's only 24, 20, whatever age is, man. She's one of those that all her friends are like older people connecting on art. Thought that was interesting. So she is getting ready to film her next movie with J.J. Abrams. She has 3 movies in the whole, right? That we know of. Death of a Unicorn, Hurry Up Tomorrow, and Clara and the Sons. So all this work, beginning work, it's amazing. Let's read a little bit. Ortega 22 savoring a rare stint in LA, dressed in jeans, a white long sleeve shirt, and a vintage olive workman's jacket that reads Dawn. She seems relaxed on this March morning, probably because her fellow diners are close to retirement and unlikely to be among her nearly 40 million Instagram followers, the majority of whom she's gained after stepping into the clunky black shoes of Wednesday Adams. She's back on the West Coast promoting Death of a Unicorn. Um, she's worked on X and on the Scream movies, which we, as we know, uh, catapulted her. So I want to go on a little bit, and I want to read this. Most audiences associate Ortega with bringing a new generation of fans to the properties that got their start in the past millennium. In the two most recent installments of the rebooted Scream franchise, she and Melissa Barrera survived Ghostface as the Carpenter sisters. Fans rooted for both to return, but in November 2023, the producer, Spyglass Media Group, announced that Barrera had been fired from the forthcoming seventh installment for the remarks she made about Israel Hamas war on Instagram. A day later, news broke that Ortega was leaving the film as well. Quote, it had nothing to do with pay or scheduling, Ortega says. The Melissa stuff was happening and it was all kind of falling apart. If Scream 7 wasn't going to be with that team of directors and of those people I fell in love with, it didn't seem like the right move for me in my career at the time. This is now an actor that's got perspective. So it's not about necessarily the dollar bills of the next, reboot and the next this and that. It's about who she fell in love with, about her castmates, about or the directors that she's worked with. Like, oh, I respect that. And I think you're seeing that Jenna has commanded in a relatively short amount of time a lot of respect. In an era of bloated reboots, Ortega doesn't take the decision to star in another revival lightly. Last year, she appeared in Beetlejuice, the daughter of Winona Ryder's iconic Lydia Dietz. Winona joked that she and Tim Burton were waiting for Ortega to be born to do the long-awaited sequel. I've happened to join a lot of franchises, which is so great to be part of the legacy, Ortega says. But for me, I'm really trying to prioritize new directors and original stories. I know on the outside, people may be looking at my choices like, man, what the hell is that girl doing? I never thought I would do a movie with unicorns, but an original script is exciting. If I can help in getting it made, I loved to do that. Now you're seeing because of her name cachet, she can get independent films greenlit. Fantastic. Fantastic. Which means work begets work. You're hiring more people, the writers, crews to work on independent films, all because you're now starting to executive produce and back the film, which helps it get financed. Now, they talk about her childhood, and I said she's from that part of Southern California, the Coachella Valley, which, only the weak do not survive out there. Let's go on and talk about our coworkers from Wednesday. Jenna looks out for us. She's very collaborative. She's always told me if there's anything that I was uncomfortable with, anything I didn't like, to come to her. She'll bring it to the table. Her being a boss was definitely for the benefit of the cast. Now, she's just not. Now, Myers isn't just talking about her being a boss lady. She's talking about the fact that now Jenna is an executive producer, a boss on the Wednesday show, where Jenna is so consumed with her work every day, every morning. She was meeting with Tim Burton, going over notes, giving notes, taking notes, etc., etc. This is the type of professional. This is the type of artist we want. I want more of these people. I want more of these people. And let me tell you, this plays into more of what's going on. She just returned from shooting Kathy Ann's The Gallerist in Paris. She plays an assistant to Natalie Portman. It's a desperate gallerist who conspires to sell a dead body at Art Basel, Miami. I mean, how strangely wonderful is all that? Ortega wants to direct something of her own. She has written scripts that she describes it as offbeat, but isn't ready to share. I think because there's more eyes on me than I anticipated, I'm a bit more cautious about what I want to put out, she says. She also has ambitions to compose scores for the screen, having already learned the cello for Wednesday. That is one of my first questions for directors. Who's composing this? Says Ortega, who sometimes experiments with synths and the omnichord at night to unwind. Everything that I've learned out of wanting to educate myself on the history of the craft that I was committing my life to. Let me read that again to you guys. This needs to be, this right here should be the manifesto, the agenda for every actor, every writer, every director, every creative person. This has got to be their first and foremost agenda. Okay? And then we're wrapping this up. Everything that I've learned out of wanting to educate myself on the history of the craft that I was committing my life to. Punto final. She is a student of the craft. How can you not fall in love with actors like that? Right? Because you're just like, yes, oh my God, yes, get me more. And that is why she's very special. Imagine the Zieglers, the other artists of the world coming up talking like that. Just saying. Just saying. We don't have enough directors, writers, and actors that have any sense of history at all. Right? This was one of the main arguments that we had, was that Disney, Marvel, they're hiring writers that have no sense of the lore that they're talking about. They're not fans. Good, we don't want to hire fans. What are you talking about? Or are you a fan of cinema? Are you a fan of art? No, they're activists. What are we doing here? Which is why I think Tony Gilroy with Andor is probably the most successful of the Disney stars, because that guy at least has a creative vision. He's got some guts, whether you agree with his take. That's the other level of criticism. But you can't argue it doesn't have a vision. All those other hacks are visionless because they don't regard their history of the art, and as what Jenna here says. And because of this attitude, she's still such a young person in this business, and God bless her and her family. Keep your mom close to you, man. Keep your close people close. She's gonna do very well in this business. She's got her head on right, and that's why we wanted to give her the spotlight, because of the new story, and the Death of a Unicorn. Yeah, it's all right. I'm looking forward to other films though. She's always doing interesting stuff. It's an okay film. Her and Paul Rudd are incredible in the film.